You're joining us in a school garden, and we'll be with Helen Cross as she talks to us about the importance of gardening in education. Hello, Helen.
Hi.
Thank you so much for meeting us again.
Hi, how are you?
Well, thank you, sir.
Good, thank you. Good.
And we're here in a school.
Yes,
You champion gardening in school.
I am. I volunteer here at our local primary school and nursery, and I'm really passionate about championing school gardens to benefit the pupils, but also the teachers as well, and just bringing that learning outdoors, which I think is really important for everybody's mental and physical well-being.
It's another classroom, isn't it? And it's just a
is.
different way of utilising the dexterity and the
Absolutely.
different senses that are involved. And I'm seeing here we've got lots of bags of Caledonian horticulture. We've got different mulches and whatnot. What are they being used for in this space?
Yeah, so we've been really lucky when we've had the support of Caledonian Horticulture over the last 4 years since the pandemic, and they really helped us to kickstart our growing adventures here at the school. And we've used it to fill a lot of the raised beds, and I'm also looking at using the bark to create natural pathways in between the raised beds as well, which is going to be our next task.
Fabulous, because that was going to be my question, was going to be what is the intention for this space? And it is a big space that we're just wrapping around here.
Lucky. It's a massive space. So we've already got some established fruit trees that are here, some new fruit trees that have taken a bit of a beating. We've got some raised beds as well that the kids have been growing fruit and veg. But what I would like to do is actually increase their understanding about cut flowers as well, because growing fruit and veg in a school is quite tricky because you sow all the seeds and then you go away for the summer, and actually that's when all
it's a long period of time.
Yeah, and they come back and things haven't been watered and the weeds have got out of control. Whereas cut flowers, they can plant and sow, and then they can actually sell that product as well, which is giving something back to the school funds as well. But it's also teaching them about where cut flowers can come from and the environmental impact of bringing cut flowers from overseas as well.
Right.
And I've never met a child that doesn't like making money.
Well, there you go. It is a difficult position to be in so you have like seed sowing and preparing, but then not to see the finished products, that is a shame. So then they don't really understand that we have that beginning understanding, but we don't have the full understanding of what that becomes. And then making that relationship to where our food comes from, which is equally important. So it's really good to hear the different perspective of taking it with cut flowers, because then you do see that final product, which is wonderful. And again, it's great for the senses at that age group as well, where they can see all the different textures, different structures and different colours.
Now, the thing with school gardening is you do have to take into account lots of red tape and legislation. So things do have to be a certain distance away from the building.
Yes.
So that's why a lot of the stuff is going to happen closer to the fence line as well. And actually also growing in containers as well, because that way, if we grow things in containers, they're less likely to be destroyed when the mowers and the blowers come in from the council and cut things down as well. So it's about using your imagination slightly also. But certainly, I think a lot of these raised beds and the other side are going to be used for cut flowers. So come autumn time, when the kids come back, we're going to be growing daffodils and tulips, which they'll then be able to see come into fruition in springtime and then sell them before Easter time.
Well, that's perfect, because what I'd like to do is just kind of walk along here, and you can maybe talk to us about what the plans are for each space, what will kind of maybe be happening, what's your vision, and what that will give back to the young people in return.
Absolutely, totally.
And I'm already seeing like the reusing of tyres here.
So you've got to also incorporate a bit of natural play as well, because the kids are not just going to be gardening, because children have the attention span of a goldfish. I mean, I have the attention span of a goldfish. So they've got to have a little bit of elements of play as well as growing. But if we go around here, we've got a lot of recycling. These are cattle lick
go this way.
Yeah. So there's a mixture of wildflowers in here and cut flowers, and the kids have also...
I saw.
This whole message of growing, not flowing. So, and these have just been used from slates. They're great, actually. Gardening with gardening. And as I said before, I'm hoping this is all going to be barked in between the raised beds. Just another way to keep control of the grass in a natural sort of as well.
So put that mulch down, and then we can have that texture.
And I mean, anything that attracts wildlife into the garden as well. So I would quite like to see some more sort of bug hotels and maybe a bug hotel feature along the actual fence line as well. We've got sunflowers growing here at the moment, but again, the weather has just
it's been one of those years.
If you'd come this time last year, this place was completely different and it was so colourful and vibrant, but we just haven't had that structure.
Yeah.
There's lots of apple trees in this area, so lots of people actually donate their apples, and I do workshops where we press the apples and we make apple juice, and then the older children come up with a marketing campaign to actually market the apple juice and sell it to their friends and family. And again, it's just educating them and inspiring them about gardening and growing their own in a different, fresh way that gets them excited.
Yeah, looking at different ways of doing things, but also working as a team. As well as the community as well. That's that full involvement. I really like that. So we've got our redeemable apple tree.
I do hope so. But it's interesting. I haven't seen it.
That fresh growth as well. It's going to be okay.
So apples have done okay this year.
For sure. We're good on apples. And then we've got many more raised beds.
There is such scope here again, but I really have to stress, if anybody does want to do school gardening, it can't just be down to one person. You've got to have the support of parents and also teachers and also the head teacher. Everybody has got to be supportive of it and see the benefit that it can have for the children, but also the teachers, because we also run sort of teacher development courses as well through the RHS, and this is time for them to come to the garden after their days teaching, and they get to do well-being activities and just get their hands in the soil and spend time with one another. And we've been teaching teachers across Glasgow and East Renfrewshire, and it has been really successful. They've thought it's the best sort of CBD development that they have done.
So the benefits of bringing the learning outdoors, because it is hard for anybody to be inside all day.
Absolutely.
And this is a different association with the outdoors. So it's not just play, because you can have that element of play.
Absolutely, yeah.
And this sense of discovery.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that subliminal learning, isn't it? Because it is fun.
Yeah.
And it's getting the hands in the soil and learning through that kind of physical element.
Absolutely.
And it really brings concentration as well. So how are you finding that? What's your experience?
My experience has been, it's quite emotional actually, because as I said, I do this as a volunteer, and the time that I spend with the children, I really see a change in them as individuals over the course of 6 weeks. So I get some kids who are really quiet and timid, and then by the end of it, they're really confident and they're excited about what they're growing. And I also get kids who are sort of seen as the naughty kids, who are just completely different when I bring them outside, and also mixing different children together who wouldn't necessarily mix and play together in the playground.
Yeah.
So it's a really great leveler, I think. I think that's the thing about gardening. It is a bit of a leveler. There's no hierarchy. And it really just brings everybody together.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I suppose I'm going to take really personally here is when I'm in a garden, it's my imagination of my youth comes up, because I find that gardens are, they're different. You have the bug hotels, and then you have trees that you can go under, and then you have different pathways. So there's that kind of sense of adventure in the garden as well, which is really fascinating. So there isn't just that responsibility for learning, but that real sense of adventure, which I love. And it'll be really nice to see when everything is up with your cut flowers.
Yeah,
that'll be a real kind of jungle of different things.
I hope so. Another thing is I want the kids to put their stamp on it as well. I don't want to come in and tell them what they do. And actually, before the end of term there, I sat with them, all 3 primary 4 classes. So there must have been about 90 of them. And I got them to design the No Adults Allowed garden, which was great. And it was just lovely to see their imaginations go into overdrive. Now, obviously, we're not going to be able to put in the chocolate fountains, but there are lots of things that we will be able to take from them and put it into the garden. And just on cue.
Just like the garden is another room to the house, garden can be another classroom to a school. And I'm walking away today with 3 things. The first is how valuable having this outdoor learning space can be to a school. The second is how much support is needed around those who are trying to influence a change of having the outdoor learning space. And the third is ultimately that the garden and the green space is a place for children to have fun.